I'd like to call to order the Charter Township of Chesterfield regular township board meeting for Tuesday, November 12th, 2024 at 7 p.m. to order. Could we all please stand, face the flag, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll call the roll tonight. Trustee Anderson? Here. Trustee Joseph? Here. Trustee Vosberg? Here. Treasurer Elliott?
Here.
Trustee DeMink?
Here.
Clerk Berry has requested to be absent. With that being said, I've asked Trustee Vosberg to call the roll tonight, and I will read the agenda items if there's any objection. Seeing none. With that being said, item number 4, the approval of agenda. I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the removal of item 5A. And Trustee Vosberg, do you want to explain why? Or?
Yes, the item for the check presentation by Rotary has been postponed to the following meeting. It will be on next meeting's agenda.
Thank you. So I will make a motion to approve item 4, the approval of the agenda with the removal of item 5A. Is there any support?
Support.
Treasurer Elliott. Trustee Vosberg, would you call the roll?
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee DeMink.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg votes aye.
Item 6, department reports. We have quite a few department reports, and I'll leave it to the department heads to start it off at your own will tonight. Floor is yours, Stephanie. I'm sorry. I forgot. Item presentations. Good call. Well, you're hard to forget. I would like to take a moment of everybody's time to present Trustee Brian Scott DeMink, who this is his last board meeting after, we tried to do the math earlier,
Almost
1,000 meetings.
between board and planning, parks and rec, whatever else I've been on.
So some time ago, Trustee DeMink chose not to run and enjoy retirement, which will encompass not only here, but the retirement from the Sterling Heights Police Department as their lab director, lab crime scene investigator, and after serving several years with the Macomb County Sheriff's Department, going backwards, some time and a stint with the FBI, and a long legacy of being a township resident, both his mother and his father. I think as the dinosaurs left here, the DeMink family moved in, and they've been here a long time. They've served this township very well. And we did have a previous event here last Thursday or last Friday at Brandenburg Park. We offered a lot of gifts and a lot of commentary. The service and dedication that he's provided this township, it will not be forgotten. And with that, I'd like to invite Trustee DeMink around to the front so we could get some photographs and also present him with award and then his final photograph with all of the sitting board members. Just a small token of our appreciation in the township's appreciation for everything that you've done. 20 years of dedicated service, Brian Scott DeMink. We celebrate a legacy of commitment and a family tradition here at Chesterfield Township.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, guys.
Now we'll move to item 6, department reports. Stephanie?
All right, I would like to give you a little update on some things the Facilities and Operations Department's been working on. Right here, you see the exterior of the police station. So you'll see the progress on how we've skinned the outside of it, and we're gonna put a rain skirting around it. This picture shows you the new dispatch area that we're building. That red line that kind of goes around and makes a square outside of the dispatch area will be a nice patio for them to go out and take a break within their day, just to step out and get a breath of fresh air. This is a video, just takes you around the building, so you can kind of see we put a screen wall there. This is the new dispatch patio. And then just how the progress is going around the building. I like to show this every couple weeks here because we are making progress. Sometimes it doesn't seem like at a first glance, but there's stuff going on all around the building. You'll see a big improvement in the next few weeks here. We'll be staining the front of the building, which will give it a nice common color to the front. But as we come around the back here, this side is all pretty much done. And that white stripe that you see that goes around the top there, that is actually a darker gray color that won't be pulled off until closer to the end of the project. And we have another screen wall coming up here. There'll be a gate that blocks off that back area so public cannot get back there. And then as we come around to the west side, you'll see that the progress has stopped. There's a DTE pole coming up here. That's going to be removed, and there'll be a transformer on the ground, so that's what we're working on right now. Here at the municipal office, we're actually, it just got completed over the weekend, is the facade coming into the municipal office. You'll see the red arrows are pointing to how it was flaking off, and we had a company come out and scrape it all down and repaint it and put new EFIS on it. This is pretty much the rendering that they were working off of, and that was the progress they were making, and that's all done. The front bed here has been sloped towards the boardroom windows. After the tree lighting ceremony, we're going to be tearing all of that out. The brick is failing, and we're going to regrade that back down so we don't have any pooling up here by the windows. In our renovation project here on the back part of the building, we added 3 egress doors for our staff that works in the Octagon area, so they can get out in case of an emergency. This shows you the double doors that are right outside here by our generator. And a big part of our renovation project was the new HVAC systems. So this video takes you as a walk around the roof, and you can see those new units and how they've been installed. And they are up and running. We are a little cooler in here today, but we'll get that all figured out. We have new boilers, and as you see, they are a smaller footprint than the old ones, so they've made them more efficient, and that gives us a lot more room when the maintenance people have to go in and service those machines. This is a picture of our first shipment of office furniture. So as you can see, it was a pretty packed room here. And as they started unboxing them, you have a sample picture here on the left of some workstations, and then on the right is a typical office back here in our new renovation. This is the creek as you drive up to the municipal office here. We're going to be working here with a contractor to remove all the dead trees along the creek and, drain. At Brandenburg Park, we had 9 security cameras installed. So as you see that there's red dots, and then the green triangles show how what they can see. And then also we've been getting a lot of comments from pickleballers on more pickleball courts if that's a possibility. So we just wanted to highlight their request and show that it is on our radar that we are looking at possibly resurfacing a basketball court and possibly making 2 pickleball courts. Or we might also entertain creating a new cement pad that could be an event pad or a sports pad. So you'll probably hear some more in the future on that. And this was in November. We had people waiting to play pickleball in November. Today we started ripping out the solid surface at the playscape at Brandenburg. As you can see, it was failing. So we will be removing all the solid surface, digging down about 12 inches, improving the drainage, and then putting certified playground mulch back in there. This slide highlights an opportunity that Chesterfield was invited to be a guest speaker in the SEMCOG University webinar. The topic was modernizing municipal buildings, and there were over 250 registered for the event. Chesterfield shared future concepts to modernize the space and to occupy the whole building, take on tenants, and also ideas to right-size portions of the building and property. We also shared that with these opportunities came a need for an increased maintenance plan. We shared the full facility assessment performed to assist in scheduled preventative maintenance and in priority levels in each area. The City of West Bloomfield actually reached out to us after the webinar to inquire more about our experience, and Michelle Vanderson, our Parks and Rec Director, and Josh Sonnenberg, the Facilities Director, will be having a Zoom meeting with them tomorrow. It was an honor to be invited to speak and also showcase our township.
Good evening. I'm going to talk about 3 projects, one that was recently completed, one that's happening right now, and then one that's going to happen in the near future. So the one that's recently completed is the Salt River Drive paving SAD. The board awarded this maybe a month and a half ago. The work is complete. In the project, we're going to hold the contract till next spring to make sure the restoration comes in. But that project is complete, and it did come in under budget. The next one is the Civic Center. That project is done. Here's one that's going on right now. The Civic Center re-ditching. Move ahead one more picture. That's a good one right there. So when we redid the pathway, we lowered all the culverts as a part of the pathway. We recapped that. Now we have a new contractor in there who's re-ditching from culvert to culvert as the pathways cross over. He's about halfway done, and it will be completed this construction season. And then the last project coming up in the near future is the Bay Harbor discharge outlet pipe in Jefferson. This is an old print from when the actual discharge point was built through the wing wall. That project will be bid in the winter. I guess that's winter 24, maybe that's the winter 25. But it'll be bid this winter and then built this winter and spring.
Thank you. Any further, Michelle?
Good evening. A couple updates from the Parks and Recreation Commissions that we oversee. Beautification Commission held their elections, and Lisa Minter will continue as the chair for a second term. Parks and Recreation Commission has elected a new chair, Andrea Paravano. They also have put out a survey for all residents to share their experience with Chesterfield Parks and Recreation, as well as an opportunity to offer suggestions on ways that we can improve. So to find that survey, you can either visit our website, parks.chesterfieldtwp.org, or you can visit the Township Facebook page as well. Senior Advisory Board has continued to explore options to enhance the senior experience with the money that they have available. Items that they are looking into are equipment, enhanced program experience, with maybe a physical change to the space, or to add to the budgeted offerings that we currently host. We recently celebrated Veterans Day with a ceremony hosted on November 1st. We have a special thank you to Yates Cider Mill for their donation, and a thank you to those in attendance to help recognize our veterans. Upcoming, please mark your calendar for Friday, December 6th, here at the township offices. We'll be hosting a Christmas tree lighting outdoors. Bring your entire family for photos with Santa, giveaways, and the magic of the annual Christmas tree lighting.
Good evening. I'm just going to provide a quick update from the Planning Commission. It's been a little while since they've had a meeting, waiting on some applicants to finalize their plans, and the election was on our last regular scheduled meeting date. So we have one coming up next week where some of the projects I'm sure you've heard of, the 23 Mile Road Starbucks will be back on, and the Maverick at Town Center will be on that agenda as well. The other one that's been out there is Raising Cane's. They're still working on revising their plan, so we're looking at maybe December, the first meeting in December for that one. That'll be the last meeting of the year, and at that point we'll do the annual report for the board and bring that back for a presentation. Other than that, I just want to thank Trustee Demink for the last 4 years. I know that all those guys in the Planning Commission are going to miss you, so.
Any further department reports? I'll move on to item 7, public comments. Public comments on agenda items only. There is a 3-minute time limit. If you would, please state your name for the record, just so we can keep track. It is not required. Public comments is open. The podium's open.
Joe Kadich, live on Sutton. Got a few things I want to talk about, only 3 minutes, so I'm going to have to kind of shorten them up. First one is $100,000 for the Connie Bowles Park. I know what you want to do there, and I guess if we had the money, it'd be okay. But I don't see adding more money to parks. You don't have enough money to maintain the parks you have now. Money you're using is probably coming out of the sewer and water department, and hopefully we'll get through that if you ever present the budget and what went into the budget for the sewer and water. But you had better take a good look at what you're doing here, because there's not monies to support this once you get it. The GIS service, to get new meters, I guess, for the new reader system. We spent $400,000 to get an over-the-air reader system for all the water and sewer department, so they can just go run through and get their meter readings rather than run around, I think, 16 times a year that they run around in a truck to collect it. And you did that, and they said they would save $10,000 a year. And now we find out that $400,000 isn't even worth anything because you can't collect all the meter readings. You got to spend another $70-some thousand dollars to get the meter. That's $500,000 to save $10,000 a year. Who the hell is responsible for this? Anybody look at this before it goes in? The trash bills going on to the tax bills. I was against that when you put this in. You should have had a meeting with the residents when you signed the GFL agreement without a public hearing, and it should have come out then. Why don't you basically let the company go back to the people that aren't paying it and let them do it, not put it on their tax bills? And I guess that's it for now.
John Speaka, Chesterfield Township. In regards to Agenda A, I think anybody on the board, and there are several individuals that have received donations from AEW, should recuse themselves from that vote. I believe it's a conflict of interest. I believe it's the right thing to do. And specifically, that would be Supervisor Kersten and Treasurer Elliott. On Agenda D, appointing Trustee Kathy Vosberg to the Planning Commission, well, I disagree with that appointment, so I think we need to start putting people on these commissions that are qualified to sit on these positions and understand planning, so. And then on Agenda I, for public safety, for a pallet stacker in the amount of $8,900, I am for that. So public safety needs it, and we need to make sure that they have what they need. And in regards to the bill run, again, I'd like to see the bill run tightened up. It continues to be a hot mess. Taxpayers' money, time every 2 weeks is wasted between what we're paying in cell services, what we're issuing as far as, trips, with tickets being bought, lodging on the bill run. And again, the names of individuals, that's taxpayers' money that we're using, needs to go on the bill run. It's a request that I've made several times. It's a request that I will continue to make until it's done right, because I care about this community, I care about the residents, and I care about our money being wasted and how it's being spent. Thank you.
Any further comments from the public? Moving on, item 8, the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered routine by the board and will be enacted in one motion. There is no separate discussion on these items. If discussion of any items is required by a board member, it will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Item A, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting for October 22nd, 2024. Item B, approval of payment of bills as submitted by the Finance Department.
Motion to approve the
Motion
consent
to
agenda.
approve by trustee Demink, supported by treasurer Elliott. Discussion? Seeing none, there is a motion by trustee Demink, supported by treasurer Elliott, to approve the consent agenda. Trustee Vosberg.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
And Trustee Vosberg votes aye.
You're doing great. Item 9, public hearings. There are no public hearings. Item 10, the regular agenda. Item 10A, postponement from the October 22nd, 2024 regular township board meeting. Approval of a recommendation to award professional engineering and architectural services, boundary and topographical survey, and master plan and construction documents for the proposed Connie Bowles Park to AEW Incorporated in the amount of $67,000 and use ARPA funds for the support this request, and to commit $33,000 of ARPA funds to the construction and implementation of a parking lot and aggregate walking path. Is there a motion to approve? Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support? Support. Trustee Demink. Stephanie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So we're bringing this request back, and just to give a little background, back in June, the board approved $100,000 in ARPA funds to go towards the Connie Bowles Park design and engineering. We were tasked with finding some costs for the master plan, the topographical survey, and construction documents. The request in front of you today is to award those services to AEW in the amount of $67,000. I know last time we were here, we were asked if there was a topographical survey that was done previous to this request, And we consulted with AEW and found that this map that you see up here from 2005 is not a topographical survey. Mr. Lou Urban is here today to speak in addition to this if you'd like, but this is not anything that we believe the township has paid for, and they did some investigation on their own in their records as well. This was a construction idea that was prepared back in 2005, and again, we do not believe there were any topographical surveys, and with it being so old, AEW would suggest to have a new one done. This is one of the just concepts that we have for the park. As you see towards the right hand of the screen, that would be a proposed fire station and then a park behind there. And just some other concepts on that park. Another aerial view here. And this is AEW's fees. So the master plan would be $20,100. The boundary and topo survey would be $17,400, and construction documents to make it ready to go out to bid would be $29,500. The second part of the request is $33,000, which is the difference between the $100,000 and the $67,000 that we're asking to continue to be allocated towards the Connie Bowles Park. We'll be coming back to you in December with a request to use those monies further in the park. So today you're approving the 67 to AEW and then the continuation of the 33 for the park.
Questions from the board? Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, the proposed finished project, if you will, what are we anticipating? I mean, I like the concept of having, more of a campus sort of feel. So if we're looking at fire station in the north end, clustering it with a park, I think, is a great idea. What are we anticipating the cost of the finished project? Like just ballpark, where are we?
Well, right now, that would be hard for me to answer because with planning the master plan part of this project would be going back and forth, like what do we want to see on there? What kind of things do we want in the park? Will there be playgrounds? Will there be a dog park? There's many different things that we could put on that property, an additional restroom or pavilions. So all of that would really lead into the ultimate cost in building out this park. So if once this is approved, then we'll start the discussions with AEW. There'll be a committee that does talk to them. It just won't be one person, and then we'll have series of meetings on that.
I think when the original plan was presented, I was really I liked the idea of the parking lot and the aggregate walking path. I guess the part that troubles me is the commitment to the master plan when we don't know. Really, we could have a lot of ideas, but I don't know where we have the budget to really make a huge investment in a plan that requires $66,000 or $67,000 just to give us an idea of what the finished project would be. I realize that it's ARPA money and it's not coming out of general fund, and maybe that's a good thing for the board to have to, build discussions on. But it's a difficult expense. Given that we have so many other park spaces that could use the infusion of $67K, but I appreciate the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Any further questions? Just to follow up on that, yeah, right now it's vacant land. It's been in the inventory for several years. We've done nothing with it. This is just simply an opportunity to start looking at it. There are concept plans as were discussed, and this is just the start down that pathway to have that discussion to see where we go and what we get there. The money spent, again, that'll all be part of this planning package of how we get there and what we do in the long run. So this is, again, just the first step to get that ball moving. So I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Demink, to approve item 10A. Trustee Vosper.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
No.
Trustee Vosberg votes aye.
Item 10B. 10B is a recommendation by Supervisor Kersten to appoint Christina Zettle to the Beautification Committee and Tree Board for a term from November 12th, 2024 through November 12th of 2027.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Demink, supported by trustee Joseph. And I know Ms. Zettle is here. Good evening. Introduce yourself to the crowd if you don't mind.
Hi, I'm Christina Zettle.
Michelle, go ahead.
Sure, I met with Christina to walk through the specifics of Beautification Commission, talking through the goals that we have. She's done a lot of work in the school system and in volunteerism in that part of her life, and so she's looking to bring that same type of action here to the township. And so I believe that her, action focused will add a nice element to the commission and bring their work that they've been doing forward.
Thank you. Comments from board? Questions? Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, just thank you, Ms. Settle. Appreciate it. It's been a long time trying to get members to sort of fill out that committee and take the initiative is much appreciated. Thank you.
I have a motion by trustee Demink, supported by trustee Joseph to approve item 10B. Trustee Vosberg.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
And Trustee Vosberg votes aye.
Thank you and welcome. Item 10C, a recommendation by Supervisor Kersten to appoint Kathleen Kanan, did I say it right? To the Beautification Committee and the Tree Board for the term from November 12th, 2024 through November 12th, 2027.
Kathleen unfortunately was not able to make it to this meeting. She had a last minute change. But in our conversations with her, she had a really cool phrase that I liked and I wanted to share that. She believes the strength of a community is based on the participation of the individual. And so with that mindset, I think she will be a nice asset to beautification.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move to
Trustee
approve.
Vosberg, supported by?
Support.
Treasurer Elliott? Thank you, Michelle, sorry. Comments from the board? I have a motion by trustee Vosberg, supported by treasurer Elliott to approve item 10C. Trustee Vosberg.
Trustee Vosberg, aye. Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye. Item 10D, a recommendation from Supervisor Kersten to appoint trustee Kathy Vosberg to the Planning Commission as a liaison through December 31st, 2025. Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support?
Support.
Treasurer Elliott?
Mr. Supervisor, just a question about the motion.
Yes.
The agenda item, the term of appointment will run concurrent to her elected term, which ends November 20th. And if typically we do appointments in January, are you intending for her to serve out the remainder of this year? Or I think statutorily the term is normally a 4-year term, so if she stayed until the 2025, that would be a 3-year term. So I'm just, are you looking to fill the void left by trustee Demink for our current term?
No, trustee Demink is going to continue on in this current role. He's got one more meeting, and then post trustee Vosberg will fill in immediately after he exits. So the appointment would be from on the November 22nd,
Yeah?
next Tuesday?
Yes?
Yeah,
Through
through 2025.
December of 2025? So you're asking for an additional year of service?
There you go.
It's usually, correct me if I'm wrong, council, but it's always a 4-year appointment, just like for ZBA.
So you would appoint,
So,
Mr.
because I was
Supervisor,
appointed
yes.
from 20 to, if I may, I was
Yeah.
appointed from 20 to 24, So now somebody would be appointed from 24 until, what, 28? 28.
Jonathan?
Yeah, there was a change on the agenda. It was originally put on there through 2025, and I believe it was changed to correct it, because it does run concurrent with the elected term.
November 31st, 2028 for your term.
Oh, so you're just, you're appointing a board member for a term without a full board? You're not gonna consider any other board members who have been elected? You're gonna make a planning commission appointment for a 4-year term before, it's never been done?
I believe it has.
Well, no, because the term expires, Mr. Demink's term expires the 19th or the 20th, and then we're sworn in the 20th. There's only one meeting in December, and then typically the appointments are made for the following board with consideration of the full board. You're now making a board appointment. It extends past the statute. The statute, I thought, was a 4-year term. You're now adding 4 years and another meeting without consideration of the full board. I'm a little confused. It's
When you say because the clerk's not here?
no. I'm saying that the 7th board member that will be seated on November 20th is not even considered as a potential for a 4-year term, and you're filling it. I guess what I'm saying is I think you're filling it prematurely. There should be consideration. Typically, we have at least the trustees will caucus. It looks like in this instance there's a sort of a back deal where the current board member is asking for appointment for 4+ years. What's the urgency of filling a planning commission term before the board is even seated? The new board hasn't been sworn in.
I didn't see it as a big issue.
No.
Trustee Vosberg's been on zoning and for.
She's on almost
years.
everything.
Yeah,
She's
right.
on almost everything. Is there any room for any consideration from other board members? And normally the trustees, at least I've been on the board now 12 years, this will be my 4th term. There's usually some discussion amongst the trustees about, well, one, who's available to serve. Sometimes, people aren't able to serve 2 meetings a month, or maybe somebody would like a turn at Parks and Rec. There's usually some discussion among the trustees. This one just seems to be a little presumptuous, and there's no discussion, and there's no even consideration of a new board member, which seems a little bit, I don't know. It's not very welcoming. Certainly the trustees have usually talked about this. I was under the impression, and I just thought maybe I was misreading it, that it would run through her concurrent elected term, which all of our current elected terms expire on the 20th, and then we're sworn in for another 4-year term. Typically those board assignments, Parks and Rec, planning, zoning, so forth, take place either the end of December or January. But this is a break from the tradition that I've been involved with, and I can't support that. I think it's unfair to the new board.
Okay. Any further comments? Any further comments? A motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Treasurer Elliott, to approve the recommendation of Kathy Vosberg to the Planning Commission as liaison.
Supervisor Kersten?
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott?
Aye.
Trustee Anderson?
No.
Trustee Joseph?
No.
Trustee Demink? Trustee Vosberg? Aye.
Item 10E, approval of the Beautification Commission bylaws reviewed and approved by the Beautification Committee and the Tree and Board on October 3rd, 2024. Is there a motion to?
Move to approve.
Is there a motion to approve? Treasurer Elliott? Supported by trustee Domingue. Michelle, sorry.
Thank you. Beautification and tree board bylaws were last updated by the Township Board in 2015, so it is time for a refresh on those. The bylaws are used to provide a guide for the commission, including objectives for meetings and membership guidelines. The changes that you'll see in your board packet include updates that are more closely aligned with the Parks and Recreation Commission, as those were updated in 2023 by the Township Board. You will see changes in the objectives to the group, which is specifically where the group spent a lot of time making sure that the objectives were current and up to date and on a path that supported the Parks and Recreation Department. Another requirement added for the new bylaws are that requirement to volunteer at one Recreation Department event per calendar year, and the addition of the ability for the commission to host a special committee for project-based tasks that come up in conversation. That would be more of a conversation-based board that's within the commission, as you see in the Parks and Rec one as well. It's our expectation to review the bylaws every few years to ensure they still align with the mission and vision of Chesterfield Township and the Parks and Recreation Department.
Thank you. Questions from the board? A motion by Treasurer Elliott, supported by trustee Domingue, to approve item 10E. Trustee Vosberg.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Domingue. Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg. Aye.
Item 10F, to approve a recommendation by the Treasurer's Office to place paving district special assessments on the 2024 winter tax roll. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Supervisor Kersten,
Support.
supported by Treasurer Elliott. Discussion? Trustee Vosberg.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg, aye. Trustee Domingue. Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
No.
Item 10G, approve a recommendation by the Treasurer's Office to place delinquent trash bills on the 2024 winter tax roll. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Treasurer Elliott, supported by Supervisor Kersten. Discussion? Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, just a quick question, Mr. Super. This is really part of the contract, is it not? The contract that we signed with GFL and then was transferred over to Priority already carved out this provision within the contract, correct?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. This is, again, just an effort to be transparent and make sure that everybody knows what's going on when they see it. Trustee Vosberg.
And just to follow up on the previous question, that's part of the pricing of the contract. The reason that the price, one of the reasons that the pricing went down from the previous contract was because this was continuing to be allowed, and that saved money for the vendor and at not as much of an expense for us.
Thank you. I have a motion by Treasurer Elliott, supported by Supervisor Kersten, to approve item 10G. Trustee Vosberg.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Domingue. Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg, aye.
Item 10H is a request from the Township Board to place the attached list of 2024 street lighting special assessments on the 2024 winter tax roll. Is there a motion to approve? Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support?
Support.
Trustee Vosberg. Discussion? Motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Vosberg, to approve item 10H. Trustee Vosberg.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg votes aye. Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Domingue.
Aye.
Item 10I, a request from the Department of Public Safety to purchase a pallet stacker from Bell Forklift in the amount of $8,900 as part of the reorganization of evidence, storage, and vehicle parts in the area in the garage at the police station. Is there a motion to support? Supervisor Kersten will make a motion,
Support.
supported by Trustee Anderson. Director Bassett?
Thank you. So as we work through some of our exterior renovations that we saw earlier, as well as we're working on interior renovations, we've been evaluating how we're storing different materials that unfortunately are necessary as part of our business. We looked at the way that we are currently storing items, and we evaluated a number of different ways, adding additional racks to some of the storage space that we have. We looked at the cost of that. We also looked at the cost of adding mezzanine style to some of the high ceiling storage areas that we have. Both of those were somewhat cost prohibitive. What we finally settled on, we met with some of our partners within the township here at PF&A Recycle, and they have collapsible crates that they were willing to donate it to us at no cost. But with that, we have to be able to stack that, so that is what I'm here before you tonight, is the item that we met with Bell Forks, asked them if they have any gently used items. They do. They have an item that's been refurbished. It's been updated. It's mechanically sound. And that is the request that you have before us, so that we can take the storage that we currently have and better use our space and stack it.
Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, somehow we got past the, Trustee Anderson and I wanted to talk a little bit about this during department reports, but I don't know if you have something additional, but in this particular issue, what was striking, Director Bassett, was when we went for a tour and we went into to see some of the storage that we have, the storage requirements that we have. The issue that I found particularly interesting and did a little follow-up, spoke with Captain McNair. One of the storage areas that really creates a problem is when the department purchases a patrol vehicle. In order to outfit the patrol vehicle, all of the seats, so the back seats that would normally be in the car have to come out, and the patrol car is then outfitted with what is necessary equipment for the police vehicle, for the police use. So the question becomes, what happens to the back seat and the safety belts and all of the equipment that goes into the car? At the end of police service, the vehicle is still years of service left for non-police use. So those cars typically go to auction, and then when they go to auction with a stripped out back seat and there's no equipment for a normal use, what do you do? So the cost, the loss of the resale value even at auction is quite significant, which creates a situation where every service vehicle that we have now has a full back seat and all of the equipment that's normally in the car. What do you do with that? And so right now, if you go over to the PD and you see in the car storage area, there's just benches that are assembled around the wall, perimeter of the wall with a patrol car number, and then all of the equipment that was taken out of the car. It sits there for however long until the car is no longer usable in the police department, and it gets dusty and it's exposed to, so this provision, this $8,900, puts us in a place where there was really a very nice evaluation done on the cost-benefit analysis of whether or not you just don't worry about the storage and the cost of the storage and the equipment space needed for the storage, and you just throw the stuff out and you take whatever you get at auction. And when the cost-benefit analysis is done, it looks like the township is losing a lot of money if we went that route. So to take advantage of the height that you have over there, we have in essence a warehouse with a lot of storage capacity up, but not necessarily out. So the partnership with the recycling company that has the containers that we can use to store all of this equipment and then be able to stack it and take advantage of the height that we have, only a missing piece really required this and I don't know exactly what it's called, this pallet stacker or pallet jack. But through a relationship with Bell, we were able to get a refurbished, and I think it works out very, very well. And it is something that took some studying to determine, what was the best way to go with this. And when I made a few calls, it looks like a lot of departments struggle with this, and some decide, well, we're just going to eat the loss on the back end and not worry about storing it. And I like that you and the administrative team, particularly Captain McNair, did a little research on this, and it does save sizable amounts of money. And I asked him, Captain McNair, to maybe put a dollar amount on that a year or so in, so that we can see how much this extra work actually saved the residents. So it was a relatively minor issue, but it does generate some savings for the township, and I think it's a job well done. Thank you.
Any further questions, comments? I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Anderson, to approve item 10I.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg, aye.
Item 10J, to approve a request by the Chesterfield IT Department to enter into an agreement with Spalding to Decker to provide a GIS service for the Fire Department, Department of Water and Sewer, and Planning in the amount of $45,000. Karen's not here tonight, so I'll kind of fill it in. As we've discussed, we're trying to get to a single platform user for the township in the GIS realm. We have, each department over the past years have used different versions of their own, whether it be an outside version or a subscription. And Spalding had brought this to the township, I remember years ago, where this is a public platform. So both the public gets to see what our GIS information is, in regards to water, sewer, streets, zoning, to township property, all put into one platform, and then managed by Spalding to Decker until we get the proper staffing internally. Again, the majority of this has to be built, has to be organized in some sort of usable fashion. We've got the foundation for it, but this is taking it to the next level. So I believe, did I see, did I miss anything? No, I think that's good. You want to come up to? No, I'm sorry. Yep. Did I miss anything?
No, I think we met with a number of the departments, so we understand kind of some of the background of what you have already, and the plan is to reutilize that, but there's a number of things that are missing or could be integrated better or organized better, so that's really what this is about. The packet has our proposal. It kind of breaks it down into multi-phases, too, of how we plan to attack this from beginning to end.
So I'm going to go back to the beginning. Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve this request. Is there any support?
Support.
Trustee Vosberg. Questions from the board? Any questions from the board? I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Vosberg, to approve item 10J. Trustee Vosberg.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg, aye. Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph. Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 10K, to approve a recommendation from the Streets, Sidewalk, and Pathways Committee to award design and engineering fee to Spalding to Decker in the amount of $27,216.53 for the sidewalk gap on 23 Mile Road from Colonial Club Drive to westbound I-94 off-ramp. Is there a motion to approve? Again, Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support?
Support.
Trustee Vosberg. Mitch? Mr. O'Connor?
Good evening. MDOT is redoing the I-94 23 Mile Road intersection. that connection. As a part of their construction, they're gonna build sidewalk on the north side of 23 Mile Road. This project would close the gap from Colonial to the MDOT right away. It was discussed at the committee, the sidewalk paving committee, and this is the recommendation coming from that committee.
Questions from the board? Questions from Treasurer Elliott?
Colonial is the street that, Colonial,
Colonial Club?
I'm sorry, Mr. O'Connor. Colonial is the street that comes up next to Harbor Freight by the apartments, is that it?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
And is that, I believe, is that, Jeremy, is that like in the red, that was one of the top areas that we identified at some point in time, is that right?
It is,
That one?
yeah.
Okay. Because I think there's already almost a dirt path that's kind of, okay, that is the area. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Any further questions? I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Trustee Vosberg, to approve item 10K. Trustee Vosberg.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg, aye. Trustee Demink. Aye. Trustee Joseph. Aye. Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Item 10L, approve a request from the Department of Public Works to proceed with repairs on a 2008 Caterpillar 420E backhoe in the amount of $11,000, $162.22 from Michigan Caterpillar.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Demink. Support, any support? Supervisor Kersten will make support. Mr. O'Connor?
This is the machine we use to excavate small holes for water main repairs, and it needs some attention, so this is a request for that.
Questions from the board?
Mitch, how many backhoes do we have?
This is the one we use.
The most of the time?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This is the horse.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Any further questions? We have a motion by Trustee Demink, supported by Supervisor Kersten, to approve item 10L.
Trustee Demink.
Aye.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Vosberg, aye.
Item 10M, approve a request by the Department of Public Services, which is requesting the Township Board to approve the purchase of 500 R900 radio read devices for a total cost of $73,365. Again, Supervisor Kersten will make a motion to approve. Is there any support?
Support.
Treasurer Elliott. Mr. O'Connor?
The AMI system is mostly up and running. There's 130 irrigation meters that we aren't collecting readings from, and about 340 residential, commercial meters that we're not collecting readings from. So the R900s will transmit the readers to the poles. Without these, I mean, the meters are not sending any signals out. So right now we have to manually go read those meters anyway. So this, whether we were driving around in vans or the AMI is picking it up, we need these R900s.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Wait, I do want to say one more thing.
Yep.
I want to thank Trustee Demink. Thank you.
Trustee Joseph?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Mitch, I know, without getting into the specifics, one of the presenters that came up to the podium earlier, they're not the numbers that I recall. It wasn't a $400,000 to save $10,000 a month, but in essence, the question of just in general, why we moved to these radio read meters, if you could just touch on that a little bit, because I recall when we went to this some years ago, there were more advantages than just saving the meter reading. The accuracy and what to do when a meter failed, and to have The radio, if you could just touch on a few of those, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, the AMI system, in the very near future will be kind of released to the public to kind of monitor and watch their own accounts. Right now, we bill every 3 months. So if you have like a leaky toilet or leaky faucet, and if it happens early in that billing quarter, you know, you're gonna get a big water bill. When with the AMI, you can actually see, oh, you know, this looks like high usage, just gives us a chance to address it sooner. So once we get the AMI up and running, the property owners, the business owners can monitor their own accounts and kind of keep track of stuff instead of seeing it once every 3 months.
Yeah, the part that you're talking about was I'm sorry, just a quick follow-up. When I was first on the board, there was a resident that had there was a problem with their meter. There's a problem with the meter. I think maybe Treasurer Hartman might be the only one that recalls this. Right. And the problem really was exactly what you're talking about. If there is a leak somewhere early in the billing period, you wouldn't really know until there was a massive water bill that was accumulated. And I know that when we originally talked about the radio, the AMI feature, there was the promise of the individual homeowner being able to log in and see, does this put us closer to that? And you know, with the completion of the irrigation meters now, will we be in a position to offer that to residents so that they can see, you know, exactly what their use is by way of these new radios?
Yes. Right now we get, for simple math, let's say there's 20,000 accounts out there. So right now there's about 400 to 500 accounts that we're not picking up with the AMI system. So replacing these R900s would get every meter onto the AMI system. And then once we get once it's up and running, we do plan on having, because it is some information for residents to learn how to log in, to kind of monitor and watch their stuff. It will be released to the public probably early next year.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep.
Real quick, Fred.
Trustee Anderson, good? Good?
I think Trustee Joseph pretty much covered it, and Mitch did. The 2% deficiency now with this latest expenditure should resolve that, is what you're saying. All right. Thank you.
Trustee DeMing?
And I think Trustee Joseph, we're going back to account, if I recall right, Mitch, wasn't that one of those water backup sump pumps where it just ran and ran and ran, and you don't know it's running water and it's not pumping, and you don't know it until you get that water bill? I think that was something on that, somewhere on that. I remember that discussion.
No, there was definitely that. The homeowner contested that, but the problem broke down when the meter was tested, and yes, and there was no real way to get aggregate data the way that we could if we had a more detailed accounting of what the previous bill's actual use were. And we ended up having to really take a look at our ordinance, because there's some ordinance language that involves, if the meter is malfunctioning, then we take an average of the last, and it got kind of complicated. I think this resolves those. Independent of the source, the person could see an accelerated use that's abnormal, it would spike, and that was one of the big benefits of going to this system.
And just to pile on what everybody said, the migration to this system, we had to build the network first of all. So the wireless towers, the poles that they read to, the new meters, everything had to slowly transition. It's taken us a little over, I want to say just over a year. And with any technology, we got to get used to it. But yes, the ultimate goal here is to have the residents live read their water service, their meter, on their phone, on their computer, have access to it, and self-indicate or self-report, hey, I got a problem here, instead of waiting until they get a $4,000 water bill. So that is the goal. We're still building it. We're getting there. This will definitely put us in one of the final phases of getting the meters at least changed out. So. Trustee Vosberg, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Mitch, the ones that are currently in the system, this will bring the 4,500, but the other ones that are currently in the system, those can be read by our staff currently in a real-time fashion, correct?
Yeah, we're getting AMI, they transmit a signal. maybe every 5 minutes they'll send out a
Sure,
signal.
I'm just asking the question, just as, so that the public can be aware that
Yeah.
service is available now even, because I was aware of someone who had a excess water flow issue, and they were very concerned, and I said, call your office, because they would be able to tell, and they did get the information they needed.
Right. And eventually, we want to roll it out to the residents so they can, without calling the water department, they can, set their own parameters, usage, and if it exceeds that, they get a phone call. That's going to be rolled out early next year.
Any further discussion? I have a motion by Supervisor Kersten, supported by Treasurer Elliott, to approve item 10M. Trustee Vosberg.
Supervisor Kersten.
Aye.
Treasurer Elliott.
Aye.
Trustee Anderson.
Aye.
Trustee Joseph.
Aye.
Trustee Demink. And Trustee Vosberg votes aye.
Item 11, addendums, there are none. Item 12, public comments. Again, there's a 3-minute time limit. If you would, please state your name for the record only. It is not required. The floor is open.
Okay, Bob Clogg, 30-year resident, second time in front of the board. With the approval of, 10G and the delinquent trash, I'm concerned about the current status of our trash pickup and priority. I have had 3 weeks since the new priority took over where I've actually had trash pickup done in the same day as it's supposed to be, and I guess I'm concerned that the township is going to bill my taxes. Would you guys pay for services that you don't receive? And though the township is now going to, if I refuse to pay for those services that I did not receive, the township is gonna add that to my tax bill. I wanna know what the township is gonna do about priority. There is talk out there that Clinton Township has stood up to priority, and they are charging priority $50 per day per incident that's not resolved within 24 hours. Brad, I've called your office 5 times since priority has started. Is the township doing anything about it?
Basically, I wanted to comment back on going back to the water department. You're supposed to do a review of the engineering study to show us how the money was spent and what we're paying for. Basically, we're paying right now just for the water, what is it, close to $5 a thousand gallons. And I know costs from the water department, or what used to be Detroit Water Department, is about $1.40. So the rest of that money is all charges generated by what we're supposed to be getting here for the cost of running our water department, any parts, and it also included, at one time, it still does, I think, was money to basically repair and upgrade the system. It was set up as a depreciation expense, was put into the budgeted expense, and then that expense was included in the water bill. Now, it's between probably around $2 million a year. We've not had any water repair bills or many major upgrading to any of the water department. Yet that money's there, not there. It's spent someplace. I think that's what's paying for all of the parks and rec stuff. Although basically we don't get an audit that shows detailed. It just shows we generated $18 million in expense and we covered it. It doesn't show where the money went. I think I'd like to have an explanation of what that engineering company came to and how the water department, or the water and sewer bill was developed. You owe it to us. The other thing, you're just talking about that $400,000, that it did more because people will be able to generate or look at their water rate and what was going on. How many people are going to go on their phone every day and say, whoops, I got more water, I'm using more water? And you're not going to have that. You're still going to get people that find out at the end of the month or the end of 3 months saying, oh, what happened here? I'm using a lot more water. You're not saving anything. Thank you.
John Speaker, Chesterfield Township. I want to start off, I want to congratulate Cindy Berry, even though she's not here tonight, on the top vote getter. And I also want to congratulate Pamela Hornberger on winning the seat on the board. I'm highly disappointed, though, on agenda item D, on how this board moved forward with a vote for Trustee Vosberg being appointed. Again, it's a complete disregard of what the residents voted for. We have a new member that's going to join this board at the next board meeting. So Trustee Joseph nearly spoon-fed the supervisor in telling you what to do in the proper way of doing it, and you still didn't get it. So it just amazes me that this concept here is very difficult for you to comprehend. So that's not what the residents want. So you still refuse to listen to the residents. And then I'm disappointed in Trustee Demink. You should have recused yourself from a vote. You don't get to pick who replaces you. That's not how democracy works. You recuse yourself and then let the other board members pick. That's the correct way of doing it. I want to congratulate the election staff in the clerk's office for a phenomenal job in the election. Not only, they were superb in early voting and on regular day voting. So my hat goes off to that department and everybody in that department. They did a fabulous job in handling this election. So, and then I have a question for Supervisor Kersten. When are the seniors going back to the senior center now that the election's over? Early voting was at the community center, and everything had to be transported back to the senior center. It made absolutely no sense. In the Macomb Daily, Supervisor Kersten, you're quoted as saying that the last Bassmasters cost the residents $20,000. Well, I'm here to argue that that's BS, because it costs the residents our tax money more than 20 grand. I think you might have meant $200,000. I think it was a misprint, or you still haven't given a full detail on what it costs the residents from the last Bassmaster. But I can tell you, it was more than $20,000. And Trustee Joseph, I remember you saying that you were going to have numbers for the residents. And then, remember, you reap what you sow in the residents, and this is what we have. Thank you.
James Locke, Chesterfield Township. I'm going to move ahead a little bit to the next meeting when you're going to be talking about the 2025 budget. And looking it over, I noticed Parks and Rec has a budget, and Brandenburg Park has a separate budget. Now, is Brandenburg Park underneath Parks and Rec and seniors, as it states? Or is Brandenburg Park going to be a separate entity? Is this your way of getting more money for Parks and Rec? I know you want the Bassmasters to look beautiful next year, but I mean, shouldn't the Brandenburg Park budget be integrated into Parks and Rec? Shouldn't it all be the same? Why should they be separate budgets? And if you have a reason for that, I hope you're ready to explain it at the next meeting. Because it doesn't make sense the way you have it. This board, I agree, you should have waited till the next meeting on picking Vosberg for the position. You know, you're just in a hurry to do everything. I don't know why you're in such a rush. Nobody, you know, you have your job there, you have your office, you have your position for the next 4 years. I don't know why you're in a dead rush to get everything done before the end of this year. Evidently, you know something nobody else on this board knows. You know, don't keep secrets. Let us in on it if it's so important and it's so great. All right, thank you.
Any more comments from the public? I'll bring it back up to the board for board comments. 3 minutes. I will start with Trustee Anderson tonight.
Thank you. I'll try to get this in the time constraints. We kind of slid over the department report tonight, and I want to hit this because
I'll give you extra time. I did forget about that,
okay.
so don't worry about it.
I get a half hour? Okay. 4 scores. All right. I just want to cover the Chesterfield Township Historical Society Annual Village Holiday Walk. Is December 6th through the January 31st of 2025. Decorated with holiday lights, displays, and festival greenery, the Chesterfield Township Historical Village will be open for people to stroll along the village pathway and to look at the windows of the buildings. We are once again seeking sponsors for the displays that the Historical Society will erect in our historical village. We're asking you or your organization to consider sponsoring one of the displays. Donors will be acknowledged by a sign with your organization's name adjacent to the display. In addition, all sponsors will be listed in a newsletter and on social media. The cost is $150. There's a deadline of November 26th coming up here, and you can find additional information at the Chesterfield Township Historical Society website. Trustee Demink, I've had the opportunity of working with or serving on a board for the past dozen years. Years before that, too, had the opportunity to come to the board. You were on it. I do believe your heart is good in this. You followed your convictions, and I would, may your post-board years be long, prosperous, and in good health. Take care, Scott.
Trustee Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just a couple of things. One, Mr. Clock, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your last name. Cloth? Clog. Sorry, thank you. Thank you for your comments. And just to be clear, I voted for the initiative to put it on the tax bills only because it's part of the contract. And I wanted to be consistent when I say that it's important to uphold the contract, when I bring a motion in subsequent meetings to say that residents should be allowed to not pay for disservice. This is a separate issue. So not paying because you just don't pay your bills, contractually you should, it goes on your taxes. That was the contract that we agreed on, but we also agreed that they would pick up household waste and yard waste and recycles once a week. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but I get inundated with calls. I got a call again the other day from a woman who says that she's, talked to the township several times. She's waited on hold with priority. She actually had a supervisor in a truck in front of her house, and she went out and engaged them, and they gave her a story about the truck being full and they would be back the next day, and of course they weren't. And so at some point, this board has to take action for a contract that's not upheld either. And when I bring that motion forward, I don't want to be inconsistent with what the contract reads, because we're way past now the transition and the problems with the trucks and so forth. At some point, there has to be accountability, and our residents deserve to get a service that they pay for. And I'm getting tired of it too, and I think there's hopefully some support by my fellow board members to enact something similar to what's going on in Clinton Township, because it's gone on way too long, and it's overdue. And your frustration is not alone, but I didn't want to confuse the issues. This is a contractual issue, and when I hold them to the contract, I don't want to be inconsistent in that. The other issue that was of some significance tonight was this issue with the appointment of a planning commission member. I think it's really, I don't want to go down an ugly path, but I think it's really bad precedent, and it sort of restokes the concerns about inside and rigged deals. This was never a process that involved early. It was all done as a bulk, and typically, at least in years past, I've been able to caucus with my fellow trustees about, who goes where. I knew I wasn't going to be appointed to the Planning Commission. I see that role much differently, and Trustee Demink, you and I have been in much disagreement over the years about the role of the liaison. I don't think that we should be there as embedded reporters and allow the Planning Commission to just do their deliberations. I think that we need to be actively engaged as board members. And I say that because this township has tremendous growth still in its years ahead. We're not like Clinton Township or St. Clair Shores, where I've been to other board meetings. Their development is actually redevelopment. They have buildings that tenants move out and somebody else comes in, but they don't have vast areas of land to develop like us. And so to not have any discussion with your fellow board members, especially the board member that's to be seated who was the top vote getter, I think some deference should have been given and some discussions among the group. And it looks like again, a rigged deal, and I don't like that. I really don't like that, and maybe at another time I'll suggest what I think we should be doing with that position. We get inundated with social media calls, what's going on this corner, what's going on in this corner. I'm hoping that maybe as part of the Planning Commission liaison, instead of just showing up and collecting the $125 stipend and voting with the majority, that the Planning Commission representative for the board comes back and talks after every meeting about what significant things have occurred there so that residents know a little bit more about what's going on. Lastly, I just want to say congratulations to you, Mr. Demink, on your retirement. Despite the fact that we haven't always seen eye to eye, I do have great respect for the commitment it takes to be at over 1,000 meetings or near 1,000 meetings. That's a lot of work, and that's a lot of energy and a lot of commitment to the township. I think Supervisor talked about your family's commitment. It's not just yours alone, but your father and your mother, and there's tremendous service in your family. So that's a legacy to be very proud of, and I wish you well in your retirement.
Trustee Bossman.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I would like to congratulate Christina Zettle and Kathleen Kanan for being appointed to the Beautification and Tree Board. It's been stated before at this meeting, but I just want to say it again, it's a great privilege to have the input of residents. Some of you come to this meeting and give input, and we appreciate that, and also serving on boards and commissions. It's very helpful to get other ideas and input from our residents. So thank you for stepping forward to volunteer for that. And then I also say farewell as a board member only to Trustee Demink. It's been a privilege to sit next to you. Learned a lot from you and your experience on the township level, and greatly appreciated that, and also appreciate all of your years of service to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The Treasurer's Office has the job of administering the tax bills, and so when those items are on the agenda, their administrative direction of what is appropriate that direction is given to us by the attorney. So that is our role and why that, those agenda items, you'll see them come out of the treasurer's office. I want to also congratulate you on your retirement. It's been a great 4 years. I've learned a lot. I think that it's nice to have you. You're insightful, and you know, a lot of the wisdom and the things and the history that you've brought. That's been a great value, and I think we're going to miss that on this board. And want to truly tell you how much we appreciate the work. And I believe between you and your mom, it was 28 years of a demeanor on this board, so that's a long time, and quite an impact on our township. So thank you for your work. I also wanted to just mention that all of the board members were at an event this past week for recognizing the hard work and dedication of our local police and fire department members. Everybody that had participated in that event, that want to thank them. That was a beautiful event, but it was great to hear kind of a recap of the many things that our local police and firefighters do, and truly appreciate. And I just, that impacted me, and I'm glad that we are doing that, and look forward to hearing more out of them. Thank you.
Trustee Demink, I'm going to go next and then leave you at the end. So just to cover some comments that were made. Mr. Kadich, no water and sewer money has been used at Connie Bowles Park. The AIM system and the GIS system are two different systems. They're not even interrelated as of yet. I think you confuse those, and again, I wish we had a different relationship where you could sit down and you would understand it, but it's not going to get there. The trash bills, sir, I've got your emails, and I've got two staff workers here that have spent months on priority. Not happy with them. They've been better over the last month. We are monitoring what other communities are doing and what they're doing, but we've also have our attorneys watching, and we are under contract. There's problems across the board. I even looked into instituting and creating our own sanitation department here. That's how bad it got. Unfortunately, it's just too expensive. We will continue to work with priority, and we will continue to see what other communities do, but I would ask you to dig deeper into what Clinton Township did, because I don't think that there's been any filing. So we'll continue to work with them. If you have a claim that they're billing you, we'll have our staff reach out to them and make sure that you're not improperly billed. Thank the board for the AIM system and the GIS system. Again, that's another step forward into modernizing the water and sewer department. I'll tell everybody also that the HRC study, something's going to happen on the meter charge at the state level. We're coming into a lame duck session, so something is going to happen there, and HRC is dialed in on that. I can assure you there's no rigged or backroom deal. All the appointments are going to be made in consultation with Mr. Siebert or Chris Anderson, legal counsel. This is simply just keep the ball rolling and keep the boards moving. I am meeting with all the board members and the appointees that are up. That will continue to happen. I think we also will need to look at the boards and appointments that we do have in certain areas that just, as Trustee Joseph had said, the township's growing and changing, and I just don't know if we get value out of certain boards and commissions that really offer nothing back to the township. So I'll have that conversation also. Baker and Washington were with several complaints of a light. We were delighted to find out that the Department of Roads is planning to put a light at Baker and Washington, the new bridge that's in engineering and design through the wintertime. We're hoping to look for some solution or project in the spring, the summer 2025. As I've had several conversations with SMART, there seems to be as I've described them before, that's a pretty deep bureaucratic system. trying to make sure that our residents get at least a return back from the smart money that we send down there. That conversation's been delayed for the last couple months, and I believe it's because both at the state level and at the smart board, there's some transition going on where new people are taking over. So we're going to continue on that, and again, the goal is to not only improve the smart system in the township, but offer our residents at least a return on what we send back to them. And the last comment about the budget, Parks and Rec in Brandenburg, there's nothing hidden there. Again, we follow accounting standards. Ms. Bauer is always spot on with Parks and Rec, and what departments need line items, which need their own account numbers. So again, you can reach out, but talk to a professional. Don't make assumptions on your own. With that being said, Trustee DeMink, I said it last Friday, we've known each other a long time, back to our law enforcement days. You've been a great asset. Your family's well entrenched here. You may be leaving the public eye but the name isn't leaving. And congratulations on your retirement. I hope you still call. I hope you're still in the building. And good luck to your complete retirement. With that, I'll turn everything over to you when you're ready.
Okay, it's been a hell of a run, 20 years, 4 supervisors, but it's time to enjoy retirement. Most of you know I left Sterling Heights PD on August 8th. It gave me 47 and a half years in the law enforcement field and 20 here. Yup, it's time to enjoy life. Thanks to the residents who have supported me over the years and voted for me. I hope I've done a good job. If there were things I missed, I'm sorry. I'm not perfect. To the naysayers, I no longer have to listen to your rude, unethical remarks and attacks. I want to give a thank you and shout out to a few people, employees especially, and if I missed some of you, I'm sorry. If it wasn't for the department heads and the employees, I could have never done this job. There's no way you can sit up here, and I don't care other people what they say up here, I think we all agree. The department heads and the employees keep us informed, and you represent the board in the job you do. So to start with, I'd like to thank you, Congressman Lisa McLean, Senator Kevin Hertel, State Reps DeBoyer and St. Germain, County Commissioner Phil Kraft for the acknowledgments that you presented to me a week and a half ago. And now to the employees. F&O, Josh and Stephanie, your work has just been tremendous. Between the buildings and the parks and whatever you've done, hell of a job, hell of a job. DPW, Mitch, Paul Cossier, and longtime employee Gary Moore, great job, pleasure working with it. As you all know, DPW meant a lot to me because my old man. I told you I wasn't going to do this, Brad. Parks and Recs, Michelle, Matt, and Michelle, thank you. Parks and Recs has come a hell of a long way, and you guys keep going, because people want Parks and Recs. That's what the hell they want. Building, zoning, and planning, Gary, Jonathan, Jenny, Sarah, thanks. And the Planning Commission members. It was great working with you guys. My Planning Commission and building, you guys are great. Just thank you. And to the code enforcement guys. The Demick brothers, Dave and Mike, and to Gene, whenever I needed something or I got the complaint from the residents, I called you guys. Thank you. The HR department, Michelle, Trevor, and Steve Duchesne when he was here, great job. Like I said, I worked with Steve at Sterling. He was there when I hired in, and when he came here, I think he did a great job. We needed a lot of things tightening up on contracts, language, and employee books, and Steve did it, and now we're out for somewhere else, so thank you. Legal team, Bob Siebert, Chris Anderson, thank you. Chris, you and I have known each other a long time from when you were out representing townships out in Shelby, and I was in there with tickets and everything else, but you and Bob, and going back to Gary Anthony with my dad and my mom, thank you for everything you guys have done. Assessing, Carrie and Joel, anytime I needed anything or residents are calling me about their tax bills, I'd call you, get the information. I appreciate that. Like I said, can't do it without you guys. Vicki in the budget, thank you for explaining money to me and where the money goes and where this goes, because I'm not a financial wizard, I'm not an accountant, but I could call you and you would tell me. The Public Safety Department, Director Bassett, it's been a pleasure working with you. I wish you the best of luck. Chief Craig Miller, Fire Department, and all the fire guys, great. Captain Brian McNair, I've known him since he started on this department when he was in traffic and evidence tech. Whenever Brian wanted something, you know, I made sure we got it through this board because I was pretty one that understood what you need for certain traffic evidence work and things like that. Brad's staff, Karen's not here, Jennifer and Amanda, thank you. I appreciate everything. Thanks for what you did a week and a half ago. Now to my fellow board members. Kathy Vosberg, it's been a pleasure sitting next to you your 8 years. Everything I've learned from you and from your insight in the board commission, thank you very much. Kathy Elliott, we've only worked together 4 years, but I appreciate it. I wish you the best in your next 4-year term. Good luck. Hank, long time, like you said, from when I first started up here, you were on PFA B board, Police Fire and Administration Board, worked with you there, and then your terms up here on the board, also your expertise from DPD and as a Anchor Bay administrator, thank you. I've enjoyed working with you. I know sometimes we didn't get along, but there's one thing, we could always pick up the phone and call each other. David. You and I have battled for a hell of a long time. In fact, you battled me in 2008, you weren't even up here yet. You came at me when you used to sit out there when I wasn't at a few meetings, and then you jumped into my face about stuff, but then you later found out I had major surgery and I was in the hospital. We've had our battles. We put our boxing gloves on, we've had water fights, we haven't agreed. We've agreed and we've disagreed. And over the years, we've had some hellacious conversations, but the same with you. You know, if you called me, I'd answer the phone. I'd call you a few names. I'm sure you dropped a few F-bombs on me too, but, you know, life rolls on. But in the last 7 months, we've come to agreement on a lot of issues, the senior stuff and everything else. Good luck. I wish you the best in your next 4 years. Enjoy it. Gotta wait for retirement, because it's great, especially when you start having grandkids. Brad, well, you said it right. We've been together a long time between police work and now on the board. It's been a hell of a run. Our mentor, Jim Ellis, is looking down and saying, Scott, you did your time. Now he's going to watch over you. Remember what I told you when you got into this. Police work's a hell of a lot easier than politics. And I think you found that out. Trustee-elect Hornberger, I'll leave the seat and Tums and the Xanax up here for you, because you're going to need it. You will need it. Tums especially. And a lot, oh, these for Vosberg. She loves that. I always have a bag of these up there. So with that being said, I want to say thank you to everyone. It's been a great 20 years, but retirement's looking good. My son and daughter-in-law already got me on speed dial for babysitting. It was 4 times this week already, and I got to do it tomorrow, Thursday night, Saturday night. What do you do when you get tired? You know, you watch your grandkids. But thank you for all your support over the years. Like I said, it's been a hell of a run. I never thought I'd do 20 years in politics. And with that being said, Trustee Demink is 10:42 and making a motion to adjourn.
I'll let you make that motion. I'll support it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.